Our next speaker loves dark chocolate, cuddling kittens, and reading novels, especially the novel We Are Liars by E. Lockhart.
Tonight, though, she's sharing to us about her past. Let's give it up for Aknoor Kaur and Brown, Beautiful and Brilliant.
Brown, beautiful, brilliant is my skin. Brown, beautiful, brilliant is my skin. I flew across unknown seas to an unknown land with unknown people. I was nothing but scared and confused. My parents immigrated from India to Canada in November of 2013. I was 7 years old when I moved here. I was amazed by my new world. Canada was so much more different than India. The air was seemingly more crisp. The ground was covered in glowing, glistening snow. The houses were all perfectly lined with pretty little lawns out front. And even the time was different. But the biggest difference was the people. Despite the quick adaptation to my new world, I started to notice that I differed quite drastically from my peers. My skin color varied significantly from my friends, my teachers, and those in my community. Despite there being 8 million immigrants in Canada, I started to feel like an outcast. I hated standing out so much. I hated being the only person of color in my classes. I hated being Indian. As a child, I had countless experiences which added on to my growing insecurity. When I was in 4th grade, a girl asked me, "Why are you brown?" Even I didn't know the answer to that question yet, but eventually, even I didn't know the answer to that question yet. So many of my teachers and peers didn't even like me because I was brown. I wanted to change myself in every way I could. I wanted to look like anything but myself. As a child, I used to think that if I washed my face hard enough, I would be a lighter skin tone. I also thought that rubbing my face in snow would make me pale. I just wanted to be white. I just wanted to fit in. Not only, but I also struggled with daily things like lunches. My mom would occasionally pack me Indian food, and so many kids would look at what I had in disgust and would consistently say I looked either bad or weird. Eventually, I stopped eating the food my mom used to pack me because I was so embarrassed. I believed I would rather stay hungry than eat the food. This insecurity of being Indian continued to grow and progress. Stereotypes became more directed and derogatory. People would always tell me to go back to my country. But why didn't they realize that Canada had become my country too? Eventually, the words, the comments, and the hateful stereotypes became too much, and I started to lie about my ethnicity because I believed I would rather be anything than be Indian. But one time, on a bright sunny day in June, in 5th grade, Cultural Day rolled around. My mindless insecurity was flying out the roof. It was quite obvious I had a cultural background, so it was quite obvious I would have to do something for Cultural Day. So my mom dressed me up in traditional clothing, and I went to school. I remember being so petrified. I remember thinking, everyone at school is going to see me. Everyone at school is going to know I'm Indian. And guess what? Everyone knew I was Indian. But the most important thing was, I knew I was Indian. After that day forward, I still faced countless obstacles, but nothing was able to steal my acceptance and love for my identity again. So many of my peers and teachers came up to me and told me how wonderful I looked. That moment, in a way, was liberating. I started to acknowledge my skin color, my features, and my traits, and I started to accept anything and everything that made me Indian. Although I know I struggled quite significantly in Canada, I know my parents did too. I still believe that the biggest sacrifice my parents made was giving up their home, their land, and their people just for me and my siblings. My parents had a comfortable lifestyle back in India. My dad was a bank manager, and my mom was a high school teacher. In Canada, though, my parents had to find minimum to low-wage jobs to support the family. My dad and my mom had to work many double shifts so that me and my siblings could have warm food on our plates. And there were many nights where my dad even worked night shifts, and there were numerous nights of time where I never even got to kiss him goodnight. Due to the massive sacrifice my parents made for me and my siblings, I couldn't help but feel guilty. I felt guilty because it was extremely hard to meet my parents' expectations. I felt guilty because my parents sacrificed their home, their land, and their people just for me. I felt guilty because it seemed as if I'd ripped a piece of comfort from my parents' soul and stashed it away. I feel guilty because I'm not as grateful as I should be. The life Canada has provided me with has been amazing. Canada offered me with greater opportunities, more experiences, and possibly a superior life. And for this life, I'm not as grateful as I should be. I'm well aware of the poverty in India. In some places, individuals live in harsh conditions, while in other places, individuals have the ability to thrive. On my last trip to India, in 2020, when I was in 9th grade, I was at a marketplace. I was looking around when I saw two young girls around the ages of 9 and 7 picking up garbage. I felt so much pity, yet so much anger. There were two young girls who deserved an education, and they were picking up garbage off the side of the road. They deserved everything I had and maybe more, but they had nothing I had. And in that moment, it seemed as if the world went silent and my mind hollered, why? Why was I the one who got the chance to immigrate to Canada and not them? My entire being pondered this question, yet I've still been unable to answer it. But what I did realize is how lucky I am. As these girls were walking past me, I stopped in front of one of them and I handed her 50 rupees, which is equivalent to $1 in Canada. I know what I gave the girls wasn't much, but it was enough to buy them a hot meal. I don't know if I was mistaken, but as I handed the girl the money, her eyes glistened. The twinkle on her face was brighter than any star in our galaxy. She was small, with big dreams in her eyes. She looked like an angel. She muttered a soft thank you, took the money, and walked away. I am grateful I got the chance to immigrate to Canada. My immigration is a big part of me, and my Indian heritage is an even bigger part. I know millions of immigrants struggle with identity crisis each day. I know millions of immigrants wish they could change their skin color, their appearance, their tone, and even their background just to fit in. But that isn't what life is about. Life is about embracing each piece of us that makes us different. And in my case, it is my background. I'm Indian and I'm powerful because brown is the skin I'm in. Brown, beautiful, brilliant is my skin. Brown, beautiful, brilliant is me.